let's talk about ventilation for a little bit. Everybody wants to put a ridge vent on every single ridge, the ridge being the highest point of the roof, right? So the general premise of this roof here, it kind of goes and vents based on thermal buoyancy. You should hire a roofer who understands thermal buoyancy. You should remember this one. Anyway, so the idea with thermal buoyancy is that as this roof area heats up, the natural induction of heat rising and cold air going down, cold air being more dense, it changes, it moves around on its own. So like the heat is naturally going to rise up this A-frame sort of house with our, down here by our gutters at the eave in the soffit on the house, we have intake vents that naturally pull cold air from where there's a shadow, because the overhang creates a shadow which creates cold air down there. The sun's going to heat this roof surface up. It's angled, so the heat's going to be channeled all the way up to the peak and the moisture with the heat, but what lets it out? The ridge vent. We've got an open cut channel on the top of this thing, but it's 2 to 3 inches wide that lets the heat and the moisture come out. We have a ridge vent on here, and you don't just put the ridge vent wherever you want. You got to have it at your highest peak. If you have a ridge that's more than 3 foot lower than your main ridge, you don't put a vent on that. But this is the ridge vent. On the outside edge here where my fingers are hitting, this is called the baffle on the ridge vent. And the baffle serves a purpose to keep the roof as thermally buoyant as it needs to be, keep it balanced the way it needs to be. Because without this baffle on the ridge vent, the sun's heating up the roof, the heat's all rising to the top, it's all coming out. But when we get a cross breeze coming here and it blows in the side, it's gonna blow into this vent, into the attic, and blow right out the other side. So instead of all the air that's hot fitting out the 2 to 3 inch channel here and coming out, we now have air coming in 1/2 of the vent. So instead of all the hot air just coming out this way, we now have cold air coming in, coming across the top of the attic space and coming right back out the other side of the vent. This baffle makes it so the wind that's being blown by the weather hits here and stops. And that way we still have all of our hot air and our moisture coming out of the roof, even if there's a cross breeze.